go for another first impression BJJ episode. First, I would like to ask a huge favor. If you can subscribe and like the channel, that would be a great help so we can keep up with our content. And by that, try to motivate more people to train Jiu-Jitsu. Today, as guests, we're going to have Maefson Jr., a blue belt training at TorontoBJJ under George Brito since a young age. We have been training partners since 2015, if I'm not wrong. He has been growing with a martial art mentality. So he found in a young age the balance between training, school, and work so he can keep up with his dad's business and grow in life. I hope you guys enjoy. There we go. How's it going, Maefson?
I'm good. Yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to take the time and come and do the first impression with me. It's always good to have somebody on the show. And lately I've been working a lot, and it's kind of hard to communicate and schedule some stuff with some people. But it was great that you came out and you're gonna help me out.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So let's talk a little bit about yourself. Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
So I'm Maefson Jr. I'm 21 years old. I'm a blue belt in Jiu-Jitsu.
Awesome.
I'm from Brazil, but I live in Toronto.
Yeah. So you came like to Canada in a young age.
And I came when I was 12. When I was about to turn 13, I came.
12. So you've been in Canada for how long now? Oh, 10 years also,
10
right?
years, yeah, 10 years now.
Awesome. Awesome. So what are you doing now? Like you working and what's going on?
So I just finished college about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, awesome.
I graduated in construction engineering technology. And now I run a business with my dad. My dad's been having a business for 10 years now. And now I'm just by his side for life.
Oh no, for sure. For sure. That's the best, right? Work with your own family and have the opportunity to grow your own business. It sounds great.
100%.
You know, I'm trying to do the same and gym, construction, podcasts. It's
a lot of business, eh?
a lot of things to do, but we juggling, right? We're juggling with stuff and trying to make life, right?
Make it work.
Exactly. And so how was the beginning with you with jiu-jitsu? Do you remember how was your first class?
Yeah, I do actually. It's
awesome. So let's go to hear a great story now. Let's go.
It's actually funny. I first started jiu-jitsu was all because of my dad, right? So my dad forever, my dad's been a really big fan of UFC, but like really big fan. Every Saturday he's on it. He's always watching, right?
Yeah.
So one day we were watching, I think it was Anderson Silva. I think it was in one of Anderson Silva's championship fight. And then I was really young. It was right when I got to Canada, right? So we're playing here and he was watching. And then I was playing with him. We're playing. Then he turns around, playing around with me and just boom, hits me in the jaw. I go down and I'm like, you know what? I don't know how to fight. I don't know how to defend myself. And then he's like, maybe you should like try to do something. Try to do like something in like martial arts. And I'm like,
yeah, just like playing
like something. Yeah. I played soccer my whole life just to try something new. And I was kind of like drifting a little away from soccer, and I was actually enjoy watching like MMA and stuff. So then I just searched for like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then the first thing that popped up was TorontoBJJ. Yeah. So then I booked to go to TorontoBJJ, and my whole intent to go at first was to do no gi.
Oh,
right. So I went there. I remember the very first time I came in, and then they gave me this gi, and I'm looking at my dad, and I'm like, I didn't even know there was a gi to do jiu-jitsu, to be honest. And I'm like, thought it was like jiu-jitsu was just no gi, right?
Or you probably had like the UFC stuff on mind.
Yeah, all I really knew was UFC. For me, that's what it was, right? So I kind of went on the concept like start in something. I knew there was different martial arts, but I wanted to start somewhere. So I'm like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just makes sense, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Went to give it a try, and then first person I see when I meet at the door was George.
Oh, right? Bro, so you're a good one to meet right away.
Right away, and then best greeting ever, especially because of Brazilian, like accommodating. Yeah, right. Yeah. And then I remember going to my first class, and who taught was Nathan dos Santos, right?
Nathan dos Santos.
Big sensei Nate as well.
Exactly. For whoever don't know, Nathan dos Santos, like one of the top players in Canada, been competing for a long time, black belt, has traveled the whole world, and it's one of the best, if not, I would say top 5 the best black belt in Canada, right? So it's a great guy, and hopefully one day I'll get him in the show too.
The book of jiu-jitsu,
Oh
literally.
yeah, oh yeah.
So yeah, and then I remember my first class with Nate, and it was just everywhere. Like I kind of like I had a body awareness from playing sports, but I was like jiu-jitsu, like I was really like I used to talk a lot at first and not understand. So it was like the struggle, the casual thing of like, oh, you got me here type of thing, but not knowing what's going on, right?
I get it.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty fun, and it was pretty like natural, like into it because I already had sports.
Uh-huh.
But it was just kind of like jiu-jitsu was like really hard at first, right? Because
Yeah,
it's like
no.
the technique itself. So like you
It,
just
it is it is a complex thing, right? It's very
yeah.
complex.
And I started, which I'm glad that I started pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had like I have a bigger time training and to grow into it, right?
Exactly.
From like a
Exactly.
teen to like growing to an adult now.
Exactly. So you did your first class. Was it like an intro class? You did an intro?
No, I actually didn't do an intro class. So I got there and then they just put me, they just put me to like in a normal class, and then they're like, let's see how you do. And then I casually just did it. I front roll
Normal
and everything.
class
They
in
showed me, of
adults?
course.
You didn't do adults. You did a
No,
teen.
I did a teens class because when
Oh,
I
okay.
joined jiu-jitsu, I was 14, turning 15, I'm pretty sure. That's
Okay.
when I started training jiu-jitsu, right? So they the TorontoBJJ has a teens program, right? Which is ran by Nate and Mosley.
Yeah.
And they put me into it, but no intro class. I just kind of went into the class and just jumped in from the very first day. Remember, my very first technique was De La Hiva.
Awesome. Oh wow. Right away with some
That was the day of the class. That's what it was.
Okay. No, that sounds good. Like usually a lot of people, as we know, right? Because
Yeah, do the intro class.
exactly, you start training and then you liked it, and then you had like a long time at Toronto BJJ. You even work at Toronto BJJ, so
Yeah, I
you
worked on JJ
right
2 years, 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, something like
3 years.
3 years. Yeah, I did my whole high school working. I did there. I did there and then working the summer with my dad. Did both actually.
Awesome. Yeah. So new people when they come in, they do the intro class. I believe usually the teens.
They have the intro too. Mosley
Oh,
does
dude.
it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Mosley does it. Oh, I have never seen that because I believe it's earlier, something like that,
Yeah,
right?
it's at the end. So it's right before the first adults class is the teens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sounds good. Dave Mosley, it's another guy like Dave Mosley, one of best competitors in Canada too, black belt. Hopefully, I'll get him on the show too. So it's always good to mention this name because these guys has been putting like a really good work, and we know them for a long time. We've been following them, right?
These guys grew me up.
They've seen you, right?
Yeah. Nate is the one who like from the very
know.
first day
I
grew me
know.
up.
I know. And so you went there because you kind of saw UFC and you and your dad was playing, and then you decide to learn something to defend yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. But do you remember like what you had in mind? Like, you know what, I'm gonna go to learn something to defend myself because I want to be ready if something happened or just in case. What was that? Like, what did you had in mind?
Honestly, at first what I wanted was just to like learn something in martial arts, do something like kind of different from soccer, because I was getting at an age of soccer that here it's really like it's not about how good you are, it's how much money you put in for you to do something, like specifically here too, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I kind of wanted to do something besides soccer as well.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so I start like my dad kind of pushed me to start doing some sort of martial arts, and then I did jiu-jitsu. So it was just like the perfect thing for me. It was just
Awesome.
where it was like, and I wanted something that I would enjoy besides just, and I always had the, I don't know if it's the right mentality, but like it's easy to punch, not easy to punch, but anybody can punch and just hit, but you can just train jiu-jitsu type of thing, right? You can't just
I get it.
jiu-jitsu. It's something you really have to put work for you to learn, right?
To get
Not to say that don't go train boxing or whatever, but it's a different level.
I understand.
Of study, right? So
for sure, I agree.
And at first, my first thought was, I don't know, I want to learn how to do something, especially like no-gi, like because it's I want to, I don't know, a guillotine. That's the first thing I really learned. I had really long arms and like, I don't know, maybe this will work for me. That's what I want to do. And then before I even went to train, I watched on YouTube like stuff. I swear. As a matter of fact, I don't know if Nate will remember, one day you get him here. I used to just try to guillotine everybody. Just try to guillotine like crank necks and everything. Well, yeah, it's pretty.
Whenever we like something, we always go for it
Yeah,
anyway.
you just go for it any moment. Like you just,
Exactly.
especially when you don't
Do
know anything.
you have like, do you remember, okay, in the first class, did you had right in the first class, did you roll?
I think I rolled a Nate the very first time. Yeah. So Nate kind of
Okay.
just like toyed around with me.
Just kind of
It's
play
actually pretty
around.
funny because I don't remember pretty like 100% the part because I don't, of course, you don't remember the embarrassing part. But he's like, you used to talk so much. He
Uh-huh.
said to me, and I always talk so much, but like I didn't remember during class and during rolling. I used to like say to him, "Oh, you got me there. Oh, that was nice. Oh, that was cool." So like typical thing when you're starting, right? You don't see it, so
Pretty
you don't know what's
excited.
going on. It's like a balloon sweep out of nowhere. You're getting tossed to the side. It was fun.
That's nice. I know. I'm sure it was fun. But how was the feeling of the actual first roll? Like when maybe the next class when they said, okay, you're gonna
I
roll with
think
this
the
guy.
next one I went with at the time there was the older teens, and I went with one of them, and it's like just this is his first class, so just play around. And I remember it was like, yeah, I'm like, it's way harder than you think, number one.
Uh-huh.
And it's like when you first start, it's completely like you're so out of it. You don't know what's going on really. Your first mistake is, I'm just not gonna, best way not to tap, right? That's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
the first
I
time.
believe
So
I
it was
believe
just like,
this is a thought that everybody has in the beginning, right? Oh, I'm just
yeah,
not gonna tap.
yeah, that's like I don't know, like maybe that's the only goal, like not to tap, right? But which
Yeah.
it is the main goal, but at first you're getting tapped. I remember I got tapped like 5-7 times in the first time, and I'm like, it's like, and that kind of makes you like, it made me like, fuck, like this is pretty challenging. This is nice, and
Uh-huh.
it makes you want to go back because you're like, it triggers with your mind. It's like, how did he do that? How does he do that?
Yes.
And I feel like the best part of watching is when you see like a bigger guy just get like flipped so easily too. I remember seeing that in my first class.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Like a lot of people, there is a thousand of different feelings and during the rolling, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the first actual roll that you do, you have many things going on in your mind. But the first thing is like, I don't want to tap, or but even though you're gonna tap
Many times. Yeah.
many times, you're still like, oh, I don't want to tap. But every other 30 seconds, you're just
30
like
seconds.
tapping out, right? I know,
Exactly.
I know.
But it's like, it's humbling, it's teaching, right? Like it
Yeah,
teaches you a lot because
humbling. Yeah, I agree.
like, especially me with soccer, like never like to lose. Never like to lose.
Exactly. I believe this feeling of, oh, not a feeling, but the ego, right? The ego,
Yeah.
it's there. Like, I don't want to lose. I don't want to be second, or I want to always be first. I want to be topping people. But jiu-jitsu will teach you that.
It
Jiu-jitsu
will
will teach
teach you.
you to get your like at your place, and step by step you keep like grinding, and then you're gonna achieve whatever you want, right? So you started with 14, you said?
Yeah, 14.
14. Okay, so you were a white belt of 14. I believe I met you around this time too,
Yeah, it
right?
was right when I started, because when I started, I started doing kickboxing as well because TorontoBJJ had the kickboxing
Kickboxing,
program back
yes.
then. And then I remember first time I seen you was in the kickboxing class. You had this like Brazil shorts, Vale Tudo Brazil shorts. That's what I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember exactly. You had this. I don't know if you remember. You
So
had shorts, but I
I remember
remember.
because of the shorts. I remember of the shorts, but I remember exactly the time because when I decided doing the kickboxing there, I already did Muay Thai and a little bit of boxing, but I decided to do the kickboxing because I really wanted to push a little bit more my cardio, and I want to be a little bit maybe more flexible or more strong on my legs. So that's why I decided to do those classes. Like, man, I can't remember how many years ago was that, but I remember doing those
I think it was
classes,
like 2015 when we did kickboxing,
something
probably.
like that. Yeah. And
I think
so then that pretty much that when I met you, and I remember some tournament that I was at your corner and I saw you and like your
my
dad, you
parents.
fighting, right?
Yeah, and my parents were there too. No,
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was my very first. I think it was like 3 months in, and Nate said, "There's this competition. Go into it. It's
Do
like
it.
colored belts, right?" And
Uh-huh.
then I went into it and did it. And my parents did. It was like pretty. It was a pretty like different feeling. That was
Oh
a
no,
really
I'm
different
sure.
feeling.
I'm sure.
That was like a big different feeling for me because I never did. I swim before in Brazil, but I was really young. But like it was the first time like at a like kind of like grown that like I did a single sport, because soccer, it's whether you want it or not, it's a
Exactly.
collective thing,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like it's a different feeling. The first
And
competition.
so after 3 months in, he got you to, he talked to you, and what was in your mind? Like, okay, I will do a tournament. Like, they're asking me to do a tournament. What I'm gonna do? How was it?
I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that the only thing I knew at that point was how to do a bump sweep, and I knew how to like armbar. I had pretty long legs and stuff, and like
Yeah.
that was basically it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? He's like, yeah, definitely go into it. It's like a good experience. You definitely should do it. And I'm like, sure, let me go. And I think it was like a 3-person bracket, if I'm not wrong. It was
Okay,
three
so
people.
best out of three then.
Yeah, it was oh, I was a white belt. There was a yellow belt, 2 yellow belts. So
Two yellow belts.
me as a
I
white
think I
belt,
actually
two white
remember you
belts and one
fighting one
yellow
of the
belt.
yellow belts.
Yeah, you remember me, no? It was like
Yeah.
I
I
think it was
remember.
the last fight I lost even.
Yeah, I was there. I
Yeah.
was there, man.
I think they're screaming to me in Portuguese even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing you, right, like in the gym, and then I saw you fighting there. I was like, okay, don't, I know that kid, you know.
That's
And
what
then
we
I went to
said.
the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I know him. So when
That's a
they,
good thing at TorontoBJJ too. People see you fighting tournaments, they go right at it to help you out.
exactly, no, that's the best, you know, like the friendship and the feelings that we have, like, because
Yeah.
training together, like we mentioned, like I just knew you like from the
From
gym
the gym.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. And
Exactly.
then I saw you growing up, like being at the gym, working at the gym. I didn't know you worked for 3 years at the gym, but
Yeah.
I knew you were at the gym for this whole time because we used to see each other, right?
3 to 2 years that I worked there was pretty. It was a good time, good amount of time.
Wow, no, I'm sure I
It's funny
used.
because all you guys see me grow, right? I got there
Yeah.
really like skinny, really like
No,
scrawny, skinny, a bit
man.
shorter, and then everyone see me like. Not that I'm a big guy now, eh?
I'm huge now, right? No, I know. But it's good. Like I saw you, you know, from a young age until all the way to blue belt. And you did tournaments. You lost, maybe that was the first one, you lost it, but then you kept training, right? Like, is there anything that kept you motivated, like to go back and say, oh, you know what? I want to do this.
Honestly, it was just a feeling of like, for me, the hardest time was you was the transition of when I got sent from the teens to the adults class.
Okay.
And then I felt like that was a pretty hard transition because you're going from training with like, it's so niche, like
With the
at the
same
point
people
that I
that
left, I was like I was the tallest one, I was the oldest one, right? And then you go into like this new pack where you're like you're with a bunch of adults. You're
and then
like,
it's a bunch of people, a lot more people, right?
exactly. And then you're in a room with a bunch of people, black belts, brown belts everywhere. And then you're training beside Nate Mosley, the guys who were teaching you, and these guys are actually training at this time, right? They're
Yeah, they're
playing
not
around.
exactly.
So, and it was like, it was pretty hard the first, like, maybe like 7 months a year was just like beat up, like for a year straight. And that's what made me want to go back. I'm like, when am I gonna start, putting in work with these guys and putting in work with other people, even like the other blue belts at the time, like the people that are blue belts, people that are the same level as me but older, right? Because
Exactly.
there's a difference when you go from a teen to an adult class of
Oh,
people
definitely.
stronger and bigger,
Definitely.
heavier, right? So
Yeah.
that
It's
was
like
pretty hard.
you're playing with a lot of mans, right? You're not playing with like any other
Exactly.
kids and stuff. You're just training with like a lot of mans, and
Yeah.
they're wild. They're wild there.
People are, some of these guys are strong. You get a guy, even when you train with the bigger guys, right? You train with
Exactly.
everybody in the room you train with, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it was hard. And what made me want to come back was getting beat up. Really, it was just like I want to get to a level, and that's why I still go back, because I still get my ass beat.
I know it is what it is. I've been on the same place for a long time, and not saying that I don't get beat up anymore. Yeah, I do get beat up many times. They're like all the high level guys that we train with, and these guys beat me just like that, you know.
There are levels, right? Like,
Exactly. This feeling of getting beat and then thinking like, man, you know what? I want to go back there and try my best against this top level guys, because we're talking about like some really top level guys that we walk around and we train with them, right?
even when I was there, you had some like blue belt, like purple belt guys that were insane good, right?
Insane.
So
Yeah, yeah.
it was really good. So
The
that's a,
level of the gym is pretty good. Toronto BJJ has
exactly,
a great level of competitors, and we've been there with them, right? We've been just
exactly.
competing and hanging
Day
around,
in, day
learning.
out, exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I like this whole like 6 years that I've been training there. You've been training there. It's like a lot of learn, a lot of things that I took from it. You know, that's why I'm here in Cambridge now doing the stuff I'm doing. Yeah, I think if it wasn't this, maybe that wouldn't happen. But it was like a good push, you know, a very good push to hit where I am right now.
Yeah.
And can you tell like something that you took out from BJJ that you has like for life, some feelings, some type of confidence, anything that you didn't have before jiu-jitsu and now you'd like, you know what, jiu-jitsu helped me so much with this.
I see all the time, even to like parents and like family in Brazil that like have kids that see put into jujitsu because jujitsu is a good discipline as well. It disciplines you in a lot of things. It teaches you he helps you mentally how to be stable and strong, and he teaches you because of the etiquettes of the sport. There's a
Exactly,
dojo etiquettes, right?
exactly,
That
exactly.
puts into you that you can set for life, right? And I feel like from the point that I started jujitsu, that I started kind of like the longer I did, I feel like I started becoming more disciplined, more responsible, and because I had goals that I wanted to meet to be better at jujitsu, so
Uh-huh.
that kind of taught like it was something that I was really into. So that kind of helped me set for other things in life, right? And
Yeah,
I always say that discipline is the very first thing that I took out of jujitsu, right?
that's awesome. That's all. I'm sure like there is many other things, right, that people, oh my god, I had such a scare feeling for everything. Now I have more
Yeah,
confidence to do
walking on the
stuff, you know.
confidence,
Oh, no,
100%.
this is to be honest, is the most thing that I hear, but there is many other things that jiu-jitsu will help you with, right? Like during your whole day, during your whole life,
Yeah. And
any minute.
even training, it's the time that you have like of peace, you know what I mean? It's you disconnect yourself from everything else kind of around you,
Exactly.
right? It's
Exactly.
you know the stress of you run your business. I run the business with my dad, and it's stressful. And then once you're there training, it's kind of like everything is off, you know what I mean?
Oh
You're
yeah.
just
Oh
playing the
yeah.
puzzle.
You
You're playing the
forget
puzzle.
everything.
It's a big chess game. That's what jiu-jitsu really is, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
technique first. So
And how was okay, so your dad kind of got you into it because you
for sure.
guys,
He's
right?
like, yeah, do
Exactly.
something else. Do you want to do something besides soccer? And then he was really into MMA.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, go do something around MMA. Like, go do something that involves it. Like, maybe you do that. Who knows? I always liked sports, right?
How
So
was him after you start? Like in the beginning, I'm sure he had opinion, but how was him after you kind of stick around and then because I'm sure like your dad, your mom, maybe your sister, they can see the difference. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, oh, this kid was in the beginning, maybe it wasn't for him, but after a year or 2 years, you there, right? Because
yeah,
we train a lot. We
yeah.
did train a lot.
Yeah, like when I first started, it used to be the teens class Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I did that all the teens class, and I still played soccer in between. I was kind of half doing everything, and then I stopped fully playing soccer and just training jujitsu.
Okay,
Like I
so
didn't do any other sport type of thing. I still went to school and everything, but I just trained jujitsu as a sport. And I was training 3 times a week in the teens class, and then even after I was doing teens class and adults class once Nate allowed me, and then
uh-huh.
it was just all I wanted to do. And then my dad, he was like, I see that you like, because my dad always supported me. He paid for my soccer, and then he
Amazing,
paid for my
amazing.
jiu-jitsu as well, right? So and then he's like, if you really like it, keep on going, type of thing, because it's a discipline. And he said to me, it's like, even when I went there, I was like skinny. I didn't have a lot of physique. And then as I kept training and then lifting
Growing
weights, I
and
learned how to lift weights with the jiu-jitsu community, with Nate. Even Nate
yeah,
basically
did everything.
did everything.
Nate was the guy for you, right? Nate
Yeah,
was the
Nate
guy who
was
was motivating
he
you.
was the sensei. It was him and George, right? It's like
Yeah.
these were the guys who really pushed me and like lifted me, like, and taught everything. And even I say like look a lot into like Nate's game. I remember when he first started, like when I first started with him, his big game was like De La Haven balloon sweep. And
Uh-huh.
then that's what I love to do. And that's what I Like that's what I find
Right.
fun
All the
because
time.
that's where I
Yeah.
learn, right?
Yeah. I
So
see.
back to what I was saying is my dad really like he enjoyed it and he really pushed me. And even when I was into it, he always supported me to do everything, right?
Okay.
Even to like go to compete, he would like if I wanted him to pay, he would pay for it. And then even when I went to compete outside, when we went to Cincinnati, he helped me go and he's like he wanted me to even do more, right?
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
tried going to Worlds one year, then I had a little problem with my passport, and then I didn't go. But like he always like pushed me and wanted me
Trying
to
to
go.
help you and
Yeah,
pushing.
he always like that 100%, right? But at the same time, I took a lot of my time into like devoting to what he has, which is the business, right? Which took a
Exactly,
lot of time,
exactly. Good
especially my
point.
summer, which was my free time, right?
Exactly. No, I know. Good point. I see this between you guys. I see that you like used to train a lot, but you always focus on helping your dad. And that's the thing that you guys been doing all the time and
Yeah.
just growing the business, right? But you never actually left jiu-jitsu so much. Always did help, but I was trying, coming back and doing some stuff with you.
I was always around. I always like ever since I started jujitsu, I was always around, always training. I stopped for a year and a half when the pandemic hit. I'm not trained at all, right? It was
Yeah,
here and there, but like I always around, even like here in the city tournaments, I was helping the next gen tournaments and the
exactly. Yeah,
from a
yeah.
young age. So I always try to stay around because it was good. I liked it. I like it, right?
You like the
So
community, I know.
yeah,
How many tournaments did you have you done?
I haven't done a lot to be honest, but I've done every year
The
that there
last
was
one you did was Cincinnati?
I did two next gens after.
Two next
I
gens.
we went to Ottawa and then I went to Ottawa twice next gen.
How was Cincinnati? Cincinnati was good, right? Everybody went.
Yeah, that was a very like that was probably the best feeling I had within jiu-jitsu was when it was probably this third, fourth adult tournament I ever done because I never competed a lot
Yeah.
and I only competed within really the city when whatever Toronto Open or
Only
Ontario.
with the community, right? That we have.
Yeah, I never went out. And then when I went to Cincinnati, it was with like group of guys. It was like it was a time where I was like actually training a lot, right? It was with Jean and
Yeah.
George, Thiago, and it was a good feeling when you outside, especially because it was from someone there and it was the whole like their whole crew, their whole
Exactly.
gym there. It was just a good feeling, right? It was just like
Exactly.
winning. It was a gold medal too, which is
It
like
was great. Yeah, I remember. I
awesome.
remember. That's why I asked, and I remember. I'm sure there was like a really good experience that I'm sure you're never gonna forget. You know.
Yeah, and honestly, looking back at it now, it's like it's well, like I want to keep competing because there was always that little fear because everyone's scared to lose 100%. Nobody,
Yeah.
whoever says they're
You're
not,
not.
it's bullshit. You're
Exactly.
100%.
Yes.
You're going
Yes.
there, you're scared to lose, but it's a good feeling when you win and you're like it just feels good, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
you earned it, you train, but it's a thing. If you don't train in the sport, especially it won't succeed, right?
This is not gonna happen, right? The win's not
Not
gonna
gonna
come,
happen.
right?
It's a very few people who cannot train and just like this
I know. Some people they
megathon
have
lifestyle.
some people they have this these natural things that comes and
Yeah,
they just go, right? But this is 1%, not even 1%, you
yeah.
know.
Not even 1% of people have that natural
Very,
talent of
very
just
rare. Very
yeah.
rare. But when they do actually, when we notice these guys, they're just like boom, boom, change belts, win tournaments, and then
Fast,
that's how
fast.
they go, right?
It's like if it makes them that 1% of the good people and then that train a lot, it's just so fast the development, right?
Exactly,
Goes
exactly.
so fast.
Um, how was like working, like training, working at the gym, being at the gym all the time? Do you think you got better, you train more, you slack off or anything else? How was it?
100%. The only thing I feel like with jujitsu, of course, a lot of people get really like sucked into the jujitsu world, right? I don't know if it's just here, if it's all around the world, but like people who have like this tunnel vision into jujitsu, like it's like it shuts off your everything you have around it, it's just jujitsu, right?
Just jiu-jitsu,
I
exactly.
I kind of like in the beginning, I really liked it. It was really like that, but like I never kind of flipped off my off world. And then when I started out working at the gym, it was like you're always in that environment. It was good because you get to like, you learn a lot. And I feel like it was a moment of growth because I had more time even to train. Like sometimes you're in the downtime there and you're able to
Yeah,
train. You're
yeah,
watching people train all the time.
all the
I was in the
time.
front desk, so all the time I was chilling by the main floor, or you
I
go
was
upstairs
watching.
and you're watching the whole time. So you learn like that, right?
Exactly.
You see things here and there, but it's something that you gotta like balance it off, because if you're too much into that, then you can break it a little, right?
Good point. Very
So
good point. Very good point.
you gotta know your balances. You gotta know how
Exactly.
much you can put into it. Not don't. Some people are able to dedicate their life into it, but it's very
I understand. I understand. I actually, like myself, I was one of the guys that was always into it for anything, right? Like training two, sometimes when I could do 3 times a day, I used to do three
yeah.
times a day, 2 times a day, going for tournaments, doing the tournaments, like doing the next gen IBJJF, AGP, the Abu Dhabi, producing that with George, right? Going around traveling. But I was, since the beginning, I always had my work, right? So jiu-jitsu, work side by side, and that's what you mean, right? Like
Yeah.
you can put all the time to jiu-jitsu, but at my age, when I was doing this, I couldn't, because I had to, not to provide, like
Responsibilities and
my family,
priorities, right?
people say, oh, I had to provide for my family, that's why I don't go too much. No, I didn't have a family. It was just me and my girlfriend, my wife right now. But I had to work. I had to help my family back home and stuff.
Yeah,
So I could never be 100% there. But man, it was just like 90% there, 10% of work. But those 10% of work was really work,
yeah.
to make my jiu-jitsu go. And I see you doing the same thing right now, working a lot. I'm sure you're gonna train and keep working hard to progress, get your belts, and
Yeah.
keep jiu-jitsu in your life, because it's something that you, like you said, you have to balance, right? If you don't balance, you either gonna fall off, like either way, or either in jiu-jitsu you're gonna train overtraining, don't achieve whatever you want, and then you um, get like frustrated.
Frustrated mentally, yeah.
And then you might train a lot, you get better on jiu-jitsu, but then you forget about your work. What happens?
Yeah. And it's a thing. It's a lot of people don't want to hear, but jujitsu, yes, it can make you money, but it doesn't make you good money here. It can make you good money at the peak, but on the grind, the rise up, it doesn't give you good money to be stable and everything, unless you have good back support and sponsorships and everything, right?
until you
It's
reach until you reach that place, right?
that place. It's the realism within the sport, because the sport doesn't have the crazy attention.
Yet one day
Yeah,
we,
exactly. I feel like it's in a really good way with everything that's
right now,
growing.
like
Especially there are
these
people who help this sport grow big time, right?
oh no, yeah, the sport's growing big time, but the thing is, it's it's growing big time for a certain amount of people,
So yeah, it's not for
right?
everybody. It's not the
It's not
sport itself. There's a lot of
exactly.
people within the sport growing, right?
Exactly. And US and Brazil, I would say.
Yeah,
Some circle
exactly.
in US, some circle in Brazil that can actually go for the biggest tournament, can be invited for the biggest tournament,
Yeah,
and these guys are making money. You
it's
know,
the big
they deserve
names, right? You got to make your big name first.
it. Exactly. They
Yeah.
deserve it. But while we can't be one of those big names, we gotta grind. We
We
gotta
grind.
grind.
That's the way. Everybody
Exactly.
got to do the grind.
Exactly.
They
If
did it.
not, you're gonna fall behind, and no money, no nothing,
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
And you can just wish that you have the other people's stuff, right? Just go on your own path and make it.
I know, man. It is like that. You gotta balance, you gotta really think of it. That's the idea. Like I decide to, like create a podcast to show different experience so people can actually listen to it and see what's going on with different lives, with different like perspective of life. Because some guys, like you said, you have to balance. Other guys come to me and say, no, you gotta train to make it happen. You gotta I understand it exactly, but different opinions, different persons.
And it's a thing. At the end of the day, you do gotta train to make it happen. You have to train. You have, whether you want it or not, you have to lift weights to train jiu-jitsu. You have to go do the technique, and you have to roll, right?
Exactly.
But some people can't do all three because time in the day, and some people have a full day shift, full day work, right? So
No,
that's
I
the
know
thing. But
exactly.
that you can still balance, and you can still find time in the day to do both. Like
Exactly,
you're able to
exactly.
lift, and you do
Whoever
it. You
says they
lift,
have
you
no
train,
time
and you work. There is time during your day. It's about you not bullshitting yourself, right? Because
and
there's time
making
during the day.
and
No
making
matter what you do, there's time during the day. Unless you do a overnight shift, or even that, there's probably classes around the
sure,
halftime
for
period.
sure. There'll
100%.
be, I'm sure there'll be gyms with many schedules to you that you
Yeah.
can, you know.
Yeah,
But
there's 7 a.m. There's most gyms now have 7 a.m. classes,
12,
midday classes, and then classes till like 9 p.m., right? So
exactly, exactly.
it's really not bullshitting yourself and putting the work in, right?
Do you okay, so you start like trying to, to understand some type of fighting, self-defense. Do you think you actually have a good like, well, not a knowledge of self-defense, but do you think you ready? Do you think like, okay, I have a training of this time that I train makes me confident enough to anything that can, no, I'm not talking about like, I'm not talking about guns, I'm not talking about like a very like unsafe situation. I'm talking about like a uncasual thing, like at work, something happens,
Walking
some,
down the street, and even in general,
exactly.
right? Like you never know. 100%. Like it helped me. Like it gives you a peace of mind. You're more confident. You walk with more ease. If anything happens, you feel like you can defend yourself, because you never know. Especially
Exactly.
when you live in Toronto, you never know
But
if
this
you
is
flying down the park.
this is actually not the my idea is like, this is not only about like talking about fighting like you just mentioned. I feel more confident that I can actually defend myself, but you're so confident that you actually, myself, I feel like I don't want to get into anything,
Yeah,
you know.
no, 100%. I feel like I was way hot headed even within soccer before I started training jujitsu. You was always like playing soccer. There was always this thing of like picking a fight or something. But now
Uh-huh.
it's really like, why? Like, there's no point. Like, I'm not as hot headed. It's more calm, and more like there's no point on instigating something, or
Exactly,
even like,
exactly.
you know what I mean? You don't have that. I feel like there isn't that urge to like instigate a fight or anything of the sort, because I can say myself, you can ask all of my friends. I was always like the mouthy one playing soccer, and I was always like trying to pick a fight. I fought a lot of times playing soccer, a
Me
lot of
too.
times.
Me
But
too.
now it's like, even when I started training and I kept playing soccer, I'm like, I eased off, and people even ask me within soccer, my buddies that played soccer, is like, you're way more calm now. Like, well, like you don't pick
What's
fights. You're
going on?
like you don't go at people, like, so it's like it helps you, right?
Exactly, exactly.
A lot.
Changes in many ways, right?
Yeah,
Change.
it changes your mentality. It's like I said, the discipline, right? Like it gives you discipline. It's within every aspect in life. It teaches you a lot,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Is there any way you could like tell people that like they really want to try it, but they haven't done like the first step yet, like, but they really want to try? What would you say to those people, like, to motivate them?
It's number one. It's don't be scared of the outcome, because it'll come within time. You'll learn. It's really hard at first, because you don't know. It's really complex to understand,
Yeah,
right? But once you start kind of like piecing things together, it's like it starts making sense, right? You start kind of plugging. It's like a big puzzle. It's a
exactly.
big puzzle, and then but you don't get pieces connected. You get this. It's what George says. You get this one here. You get this piece here. You get this piece here, and then you start building your own puzzle, right? It and what I give to people is, you're going for, it's a discipline, number one, and it's just a way of staying healthy. Jiu-jitsu itself, it's good,
Pretty
right?
good.
It's good for your body. You're doing exercise. It's at a certain point, it's relaxing. It helps you disconnect from everything, right? And
Exactly.
and just like you'll get the natural like feel for it once, as you start going and doing
Yeah.
it, right? Like the flow and how it
The
works.
bug's gonna sting you, and then you're just
Thing
gonna
you exactly.
die.
It's even hard to explain, like, why do we do jujitsu, right? Like
Uh-huh.
we go there, we beat people up, you get beat up, and then you go back the next day and you do the same thing, and maybe you'll learn this technique this week, and then next week again it's like, don't you understand? But like, no, you don't understand. You always grows. It's so much, right?
Very complex, right? But
Very complex.
the little by little, you're gonna actually unsolve those problems.
Exactly. It's just like a chess game, right?
Exactly.
Every time there's a different outcome.
Exactly. No, for sure, man, for sure. Like a lot of people needs to hear this, and then lose this type of scaredness and go for it, because, man, I really like I love it. I love it. Like I came out all the way from Toronto to live in camp, like to live in Kitchener to build up Cambridge BJJ. It's not because just a thing, like, I want to be this guy. No, no, no. It's something that I love it and I want to pass for people. That's why First Impression BJJ, Cambridge BJJ. By the way, nice T-shirt, So
Representing. Representing.
it's a love, and I'm sure we share the same love, and for sure
100%.
different paths. Like I want to pursue that for the rest of my life. Of course you want to pursue that training there for the rest of your life, but you have other goals. It's
Yeah.
not always the same goals, but we keep jiu-jitsu inside, right?
But I say all the time, I want to do it for
For
like
life.
forever, until I really can, my body really allows me, right? Because
Yeah.
I like it. I could have left along, like I could have left before, right? I could
Oh,
have
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
soccer, could have just, they say the blue belt's the belt that the people quit the most. If it was my time to go, I would have went already. It's because I actually like, and it's not like I got frustrated with myself that I I didn't get this, or I didn't compete, or I didn't win a competition. I got beat up for how many years, like
Oh, yeah.
once I transitioned, because if there was a time to quit, I feel like I would have went then, but it's just for the sport itself, right? And for me, because
Exactly.
I like it. It's like, it's challenging, it's good, you're always there, and always something new. It's really
It,
challenging.
it never gets old, right?
Yeah, it doesn't get boring. That's the thing. It
Exactly.
doesn't
Never
get
gets
boring
boring.
either.
Exactly.
It's always new, always new.
Exactly. So I really believe you can say that, like, from a young age till now, jiu-jitsu really changed you, right? Really
100%.
just put you in another place. Like I said, like me and Maefson, we know each other. Like this guy was, I don't know how to say, 14, 15, right?
14, yeah.
Exactly. And now 20 what?
21.
There you go, 21 years old. I know this guy since a teenager, and I've seen like the difference
The
from
growth, the
young
difference.
guy, exactly. And jiu-jitsu for sure, well, not really changed his life, but helped him a lot. And it's good.
In general aspect, like I said, it's the discipline that it gives you and what it teaches you, right? And I bring it to like my work life, to my daily life, and to everything, right? It's
Amazing, amazing. I'm sure
it's a
jiu-jitsu
lot.
can help a lot of people out, and just like did to you, did to me. And man, I really appreciate Maevson, the time you took to do the podcast. Like I said, it's been a kind of struggle to me because got crazy busy, man. Coronavirus just set up the construction life all the way, and we working a lot. I'm trying my best to keep it up with all my contents and jiu-jitsu things, but unfortunately we are passing through a really hard, like, COVID situation in Ontario, right? In Canada, Toronto,
Do anything.
Waterloo region, GTA, everything's just locked up. We cannot training. Like my commitment to jiu-jitsu was like training every single day,
Yeah.
and now we just like
Do nothing, can't do anything, right? It's whoever has their own gym, you train in your own gym, lifting
exactly.
weights. Whoever has weights in
That's
their
what I've been doing.
backyard.
You gotta do something, right? You gotta keep it up with something, and you just can be seated at home and say, "Oh, I want to do jiu-jitsu." You don't do nothing. You're not eating well. You're not training. You gotta do something. Keep it up, because this bad time is gonna pass, and we're gonna come back stronger if you're not sitting at the sofa just eating some.
Exactly.
Exactly.
A hard time, but don't make it harder for yourself, eh?
Exactly, man. One more time, I really appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, Calvinho. Appreciate it. Thank you
Hopefully to
for
see you sometime this
inviting me.
week. Come by, visit.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'll see you.
Awesome.
100%.
Maefson, thank you very much. Enjoy your night.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.